Welcome back, Guardians. And today we'll be continuing our theme by talking about the other classes. Today it'll be the Warlocks. If you want to see the Titans, that video's already been made. And if you want to see the Hunters, depending on what time you're watching this video, it may or may not be out. Now in the last video I talked about the orders of the Titans. And the Titans tend to have a lot more orders. In fact, they do. Whereas I said Warlocks tend to stick all together and Hunters just kind of roam freely. Now, to get this out of the way, there are two orders of Warlocks, if you want to call them that. You probably already heard of one, but the second one you may have not. The first one is the Praxic Warlocks. You may recognize this from the Heart of Praxic Fire exotic chestplate. And because there's not a lot of orders, not each order has a certain goal. It's pretty broad, plain. It also seems to be a common goal among everyone, and is that the Praxic Warlocks believe that people should not be concerned about the nature of the darkness. As in, most Warlocks want to understand the darkness. They value knowledge over almost everything else. Praxic Warlocks, they think you should focus on fighting it. These are the people that value bravery and service above all else. And the most valiant ones among them, the ones who prove they are willing to sacrifice themselves for the sake of others, are honored with the Cormorant Seal. How many people got that? I have no idea. There is one known member, and that's Ariana 3. Now, I've mentioned Ariana 3 countless times before. She's actually mostly in the Eris Morn lore video. And a quick rundown of Ariana. She was the head of the raid team to go down into Crota's lair during the great disaster on the moon. That is where 4 out of 6 died and 1 went missing. And that one is also a Warlock. And that was Toland, the Shattered. And if you're wondering what Toland was, he was definitely not a Praxic Warlock. He valued knowledge and wanted to understand the darkness. He really didn't care for fighting it. In fact, he pretty much joined it. The other order of Warlocks is the Thanatonaut. It's a very strange name, but these people have quite a strange way of doing things. These are the Warlocks who voluntarily die in order to experience the insightful visions. But they don't die because, as you do know, the ghosts start to regenerate yourself. They allow you to be revived. So you can understand that these Thanatonauts first appeared after the creation of the Crucible. And after that, these group of Warlocks tend to just commit suicide constantly. And maybe some of you Warlocks can actually fit in with that, jumping off the tower a lot to experience those visions. I don't know what you guys see. The tower does use this for research for projects. I don't know what they do see. It's unclear to me. And also, through these research projects, the creation of the Hardlight was actually based on that. There's only one no Thanatonaut, and that is Poojari. If you don't know who Poojari is, here's another quick rundown. Poojari was just a person who studied and provided insight on the more arcane parts of the universe. In particular, he received a vision of the Black Garden, and he drowned to the shores of time. This is the guy that kind of brought forth the idea that the Traveler is evil. He's kind of like the front runner of this entire thing. He believes that darkness was the physical manifestation of evil, but it was derived from the corruption of the Golden Age. The vision that Poojari had was when he was dying in the shores of time, he was wandering around the Black Garden in his vision, and he decided to pick a flower. It was a rose, but it pricked him. And instead of the rose being a typical rose, it was a ghost. The ghost said, "You are a dead thing made by a dead power in the shape of the dead. All you will ever do is kill. You do not belong here. This is a place for life." He replied saying, "The Traveler is life. You are a creature of darkness. You seek to deceive me." But when Poojari looked behind him, down the long slope of blossoms tumbled in the warm wind, and a great tree wept sap like blood or wine, he felt doubt. When his ghost raised him from the sea after he'd done that, the thorn cut in his left hand was actually still there. So that brought up the Poojari position. Now I know we're kind of being off topic of Warlocks, but this is kind of like the idea of what Warlocks do. They value knowledge, and this is what they've done. The Poojari position describes the darkness as a force with both physical and moral presence, and an actualization of evil. Poojari art depicts the darkness as a great storm, or as a change in the conduct. A corruption, as I said before, emerged within and poisoned the Golden Age. So if you believe the Traveler is evil, or it is the reasoning behind this whole collapse, the Dark Age, and the rebuilding of the city, then you want to go ahead with Poojari. You don't have to be a Warlock. And those are the two orders. Now, I guess you can say there is a third order, and that could just be described as, instead of going and killing yourself or not focusing on knowledge at all, you do focus on knowledge. You want to become stronger, but not for the reason of fighting the darkness. You want to learn the darkness, maybe even control it, and become a little bit stronger. Now, I don't have a name for it. I'm just going to call it the Warlocks, because I feel like most of you guys are like that. Now, people that can fall underneath this categories are quite famous names. You could say Osiris falls within this category. He valued knowledge so much that he was willing to give up a welcome at the tower. He went against the speaker's words and decided to do things for his own, and whether it benefited him or not, either way, his name is legendary for a reason. He could be considered the strongest. Another one could be Toland the Shattered. Of course, you know him as the person that studied the Hive, affiliated himself with the Hive at one point, saying that humans and Awoken, even Exos, are just low life forms. If you're wondering where he is, he's probably either dead, which is always an option, or he's in the Ascendant Realm, as we do know what that is. These are the Warlocks that push the boundaries of knowledge, sometimes in the dangerous territory, as I said. And maybe even the Thanatonauts could be a sub-level of this category. And if you saw the last video of the Titans, you're wondering whether or not Voidwalker, Sunsinger, or Stormcaller does fall within a order, because the Sunbreakers were part of the Sunbreakers in the Titans. I have to say no. The Voidwalker, Sunsinger, and Stormcaller do not affiliate themselves to a certain group of people. Also, there's not that many orders to begin with. There's only two. The Praxic Warlocks and the Thanatonauts. And I guess the third one, which is pretty much Warlock as a whole. But one of the things that amazes me about Warlocks is if they do find stuff about the darkness, maybe there will be a new system involved, where instead of using light, you use darkness. You could be a light Warlock, a light Titan, a light Hunter, have a light level, or you could become a dark class, a dark Hunter, a dark Titan, or a dark Warlock. Being able to use certain abilities that maybe seem unethical, kind of borderline crazy, but that's not really a problem for Warlocks because most of them turn out to be mad. But tell me what you belong to if you're a Warlock, whether it's the Praxic, the Thanatonauts, or you just value knowledge altogether. You don't really want to fight the darkness, you kind of want to join them, gain that power that Oryx had, because Oryx does have the power of the darkness, and it's quite intense. But anyways, that's been it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, Guardians.